Water theft has left entire towns drowning in thirst.
We can't bathe, we can't clean, we can't drink water.
Kids endured back-breaking labor, corporate-sponsored death squads.
They killed my brother-in-law, his wife, and my 15-year-old nephew.
All of their horrors were glossed over and ignored by the world, and their families know they will never find justice.
Death, torture, cut into pieces, coup de grace.
These vile acts have one thing in common: the Coca-Cola Company.
Wherever Coca-Cola is, there's also poverty and despair.
Coke's been a seemingly innocent part of all of our lives, yet behind the facade, a much more disturbing image is revealed, and it's so much worse than you think. You might even have some Coke in your fridge right now, but how could a brand so universal be so evil? Unfortunately, it's no isolated incident. We've discovered 3 insane events that may seem disconnected, but a horrific thread ties them all together. Once that connection is obvious, you'll never look at Coke the same way.
There's nothing like a Coca-Cola, nothing like a Coke.
Cola's destiny is to inherit the earth.
This thread begins in 1886. John Stith Pemberton of Atlanta, Georgia, the inventor, didn't think Coca-Cola would become the most popular soda in the world. Pemberton's focus was different when he made his first batch. Wounded in the Civil War, he had developed a morphine addiction. When he learned that cocaine would allegedly kick the habit, he used the drug in his first brew, and Coca-Cola was born. Most of us have forgotten that Coca-Cola was a medicine. It was meant to help people, especially after it went cocaine-free in 1904. That's ironic considering some of the awful allegations made against the brand. The only consistent thing about Coca-Cola since 1886 is its success.
Every country in the world, cola dominates. We feel that we have to plant our flag everywhere, even before the Christians arrived.
By 1900, it was being sold in every state. It was untouchable, but a new era was dawning. The Cola Wars, which started in the 50s, pitted Coke against Pepsi. It spurred growth and drove both brands to great heights. Coca-Cola's iconic marketing, like "I'd love to buy the world a Coke" in 1971,
like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love,
or their legendary Super Bowl ad with Mean Joe Green in 79, cemented Coca-Cola's status as a piece of global culture. But these community-driven emotional campaigns were a smokescreen for something much darker taking hold in the boardroom. That darkness has given the brand a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde dynamic. The side of Coca-Cola that you and I see is wholesome and a highlight of pop culture. That's the Dr. Jekyll walking around in broad daylight. But then there's the other side. The side marketers with MBAs don't want you to see, walking in the shadows like Mr. Hyde. This Coca-Cola is destructive, exploitative, and sometimes deadly. The most worrying part? As Coca-Cola's acts of evil have escalated, it's made us wonder if the brand even has a ceiling, something they wouldn't do on their worst day. But if you look at what's happening in Mexico, you'll see that no evil is off the table. It's a beautiful morning in Monterrey, Mexico. The sun bathes the Sierra Madre Oriental Mountains in a warm glow at the city's edge. It's a slice of heaven. But for Rocio Vega Morales, it's another day in hell. Rocio has an empty bucket in each hand that bounces off her thigh as she trudges up a hill. These 2 buckets will hold a little over 1 gallon of water combined. That will need to be enough for her and her 4 children to bathe, do the dishes, and flush the toilets. Rocio's mind is conditioned to race through every worst-case scenario. There might not be enough water left by the time she gets there. The water might be full of insects, dead and alive, like it was the last time. What if the water truck doesn't show up at all? Having these concerns in the 1920s makes sense, but this isn't a period piece. This is the 2020s. So why is getting clean water so hard for a mother of 4? Rocio knows the answer, but her children don't. When she goes to the grocery store to buy bottled drinking water, her children won't know it costs 3 times more than it should. This is the hell on earth that Coca-Cola has created. The brand has stolen water from all 5 million people in Monterey, including the Morales family. It's horrifying, but nothing compared to what Coke has done in other parts of Mexico. 1,000 miles south, it's the same story. Gloria Alvarez pushes body and mind to get her children water. The only difference? Monterey is a major city and tourist destination. Gloria lives in low-income San Cristobal de las Casas in the state of Chiapas. In these neighborhoods, Coca-Cola's exploitation walks the line between cruel and wicked. The taps run dry for weeks in the town. Unlike Rocio, Gloria has to do a lot more than walk up a hill with a couple of buckets. The mother of 6 has to travel half an hour by bus just to find water. Her hill to climb begins when she is miles away from home. On the rare days there is running water, it's unusable because of the sewage pollution from bottling plants. This is exactly how Coca-Cola wants it to be. The company created drought means people have 2 choices. Buy bottled water at inflated prices, or buy the Coke lining every shelf in a store. There's plenty to go around. It's bottled in their backyard. This is a vicious cycle. Coca-Cola steals water to create and sell more product. Without drinkable water, the people of small towns like San Cristobal turn to soda.
It's very ineffective to tell children to drink water when they do not have access to water. And this is something that you can see also all over Mexico.
Mothers like Rocio Vega Morales and Gloria Alvarez become trapped. These people only have the illusion of choice. We've used this phrase before because ruthless brands like Coca-Cola use these illusions to destroy our lives.
Eventually, the number 1 beverage on earth will not be tea or coffee or wine or beer. It will be soft drinks, our soft drinks.
San Cristobal is the worst affected, but the rest of Chiapas is collateral damage. People in the state drink over half a gallon of Coca-Cola every day. That's about 180 gallons per year, almost 7 times more than the average American, who drinks 26 gallons. For these people, Coca-Cola is water, not by choice, but necessity. Ironically, this necessity is because of a choice the Mexican government made in 1994. Coca-Cola began to suck places like San Cristobal dry after the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, made it easier for the U.S. to invest in Mexico. You may wonder, if things are so bad now, why hasn't the government done anything to stop these brands and protect its people? Well, that's because NAFTA was just the first step in a massive plan that turned the Mexican government into a corporate shill for the likes of Coca-Cola. The power shift started soon after NAFTA was signed. Vicente Fox was elected president on his 58th birthday in July 2000. This kind of success wasn't new to him. Fox had made Coke Mexico's most popular soft drink when he was the president and chief executive of Coca-Cola FEMSA in the 70s. FEMSA bottles the Coke sold in Mexico, and no corporation has ever sold more than they have. Fox might have played a role in the brand getting favorable terms, but that's unclear. This much is obvious, though. Coca-Cola wanted all of their water, and Mexico let them have it.
We've got 12 bottlers. We've got about 64, 65 plants in the country. We've got almost 400 distribution points in the country. It's a phenomenal combination.
Coca-Cola can legally take 300,000 gallons of public water in San Cristobal daily. It's no wonder Gloria Alvarez never has running water at home. People like her have to use Coke to quench their thirst. San Cristobal has a toxic relationship with the soda. It has stolen all their water, but has given 400 people jobs and added $200 million to Chiapas' economy. However, a steady paycheck doesn't take your thirst away. When Coke replaces water, obesity and diabetes rates go through the roof. Coca-Cola is responsible for each of these people.
Oh, and remember, Coke is low in calories, too. Say, now, don't you get any thinner.
What's happening in San Cristobal will eventually hit the rest of Mexico, a country of mothers like Rocio and Gloria spending their entire lives hunting for safe, clean water, because the clear water in their taps has been replaced by the black sludge of corporate greed. It's a grim fate, but one the children of El Salvador would choose in a heartbeat.
Children, they're quite clearly children working on this plantation. They're quite clearly working for Izalco. Izalco is quite clearly supplying sugar for Coca-Cola.
Jesus Franco isn't the average 14-year-old. He is skinny and wiry and covered in scars crisscrossing down his legs. Jesus has smaller scars on his hands to match. His face holds the weariness of a much older man. Jesus has spent over half his life working with a machete in hand. This is the only way of living he has ever known. After all, it's a family business. His 4 siblings, ages 9 to 19, work in the same fields he does. They don't have much of a choice. He is one of 70 families in El Chaparral, a village north of El Salvador's capital, working in these fields. Jesus Franco, age 14, harvests sugarcane for Coca-Cola. If he and his siblings don't do this work, scars will be the least of their worries. The Franco family has a steady income only between November and March, the winter harvest season. The $150 they earn each month comes at a steep cost. These months are warm and dry in El Salvador. After 6 to 9 hours working in the fields, they don't have the energy to do anything else. That means Jesus and his siblings don't go to school for 3 months every year. The family's immediate needs compromise their best shot at changing their future. Jesus' story is from 2004. What do you think his present looks like? This kind of child labor was rampant in El Salvador because it served a vital purpose to the country.
The National Labour Organization said as many as 30,000 children are believed to be employed in sugarcane cultivation in El Salvador.
Sugar was their most important agricultural product, second only to coffee. It also had razor-thin margins. This meant that when the price of sugar fell from 9 to 7 cents a pound in the 2000s, kids like Jesus had to work harder to make the same money. The sugarcane fields didn't care how old you were. Coca-Cola certainly didn't. Miguel Angel Arellano was only 9 years old, but he had a machete he used to cut sugarcane with his father. His dad gave him $1 a day for his work, pocket money and quality time with the family. What more could a kid ask for? His 7 siblings had grown up in these fields. Miguel's 19-year-old sister, Rosa Maria, was covered in thick scars like Jesus Franco, but she also had a nasty rash after fertilizing the land last week. To Miguel, this was probably just the price you paid to always be with your favorite people. But there was one thing he did not understand. He was part of a much bigger family, the Coca-Cola family. Except this family didn't care about him or Jesus Franco at all. Coca-Cola is a huge global brand. How much effort would they need to stop little children swinging their machetes in a village? But that wasn't on their agenda, so they found a way to change the story.
I am the future of the world. I am the hope of my nation. I am tomorrow's people. I am the new inspiration.
Coca-Cola makes great soda, but its greatest skill has always been misdirection. Every news channel was talking about Coca-Cola using child labor in the first half of the 2000s. So in 2006, the brand shifted the spotlight. Their Happiness Factory campaign painted a wonderful, colorful, happy world made possible only by Coca-Cola. It was right out of a Dr. Seuss book. We can look back 2 decades later and be shocked by how easily everyone got distracted. But at that moment, it was a strategic misdirect. It shifted people's attention from the scarred children of El Salvador. It also effectively erased the most damning statement about this entire situation from history. Their director of public affairs stated they found no evidence of child labor in El Salvador, and they didn't condone it. No evidence. Really? 14-year-old Jesus Franco's scars and the ones 9-year-old Miguel will eventually have disagree with that assessment. It makes us furious, but still, there is a morbid silver lining to all of this. Scars are a sign that wounds have been allowed to heal, but that's something Coca-Cola denied their workers in Colombia. Their story is one of the most shocking and sinister cases in the company's history.
King-size Coke has more for you. King-size Coke has more for you. Get value, lift, refreshment too.
Efrain Guerrero's hands wouldn't stop shaking. In that moment, he was a survivor, but he would have given anything to be a victim instead. There's this idea that one choice can change everything for you. Efrain's choice ruined his life and made him the target of a skilled, organized, and bloodthirsty militia. But these paramilitary forces were like attack dogs. They didn't strike unless they were ordered to by someone higher up the food chain. What made Guerrero a target? In most of the world, being a union leader is a position of power. Colombia is a different story. There, it's a death sentence. Efrain was one of the leaders of the Bottlers Union, the National Union of Food Industry Workers, or Sinotrail. The death sentence handed to him put everyone he loved at risk. And in 2004, that risk became reality. The United Self-Defense Forces of Colombia, or AUC, the largest, most powerful paramilitary force in the country, attacked Guerrero's brother-in-law, Gabriel, and his wife, Fanny. There was only going to be one outcome, and it was fatal.
They killed my brother-in-law, his wife, and my 15-year-old nephew.
Gabriel and Fanny's children were in the house. Odds are the militia waited till the entire family was home before choosing to strike. The young ones weren't spared. 2 of their children were wounded. One of them, named Robinson, passed away. Imagine the terror the surviving siblings must have felt. No child should ever go through something so traumatic. Efrain was left a broken, shaken husk of a man, but they were not done with him. In November 2004, while he was still grieving, he received a terrifying letter. It stated that a military judgment had been passed, and one of 2 things was going to happen to Efrain. The militia was either going to run him out of town or kill him. Again, the illusion of choice. Options that suggested he had any control over his fate. The paramilitary had no loyalties to anyone. They pointed in whatever direction the highest bidder chose and pulled the trigger.
The paramilitaries of Magdalena Medio, the Black Eagles, call on the terrorist Coca-Cola trade unionists to stop bad-mouthing the Coca-Cola Corporation, given that they have caused enough damage already. Death, torture, cut into pieces, coup de grace.
All of this violence had an undertone of mental torture. Efrain didn't know when or if they would come for him. The first attack also seared one question into his brain. What if they go after his family again? The pain of these losses would last a lifetime for Efrain Guerrero. He must have questioned what he was even fighting for at this point. Every time he saw his wife, he probably remembered that she lost her brother, sister-in-law, and niece because of him. It's no secret who sat at the top of the food chain and was most strongly linked to these attacks, but a couple of things about this stand out. Firstly, Coca-Cola's history in Colombia makes it as deadly as any cartel in the country.
2002, 470 unionists have been assassinated.
Secondly, a tiny nugget of information possibly confirms a lot of speculation. While Coca-Cola feigned ignorance about any involvement in these attacks,
I've reviewed the situation, and I, independently, have come to the same conclusion that the allegations are not true.
The campaign to stop Killer Coke was born on American soil. The consequences of their evil had jumped continents. This campaign pointed the finger at them and demanded justice. Here, Coca-Cola screwed up. The brand claimed it had no control over its bottlers. This was a lie, and a bad one at that.
We were able to say, no, wait a minute, there is a linkage between what the Coca-Cola company does in Atlanta and what its bottlers do around the country and around the world.
Cola owned a large chunk of FEMSA. The same FEMSA stealing water from Rocio Vega Morales and Gloria Alvarez. And it got even worse. The brand was accused of installing its employees on the boards of these bottling divisions. Anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together could see that Coca-Cola was involved in these attacks. This sort of behavior has spanned decades, and a disturbing pattern has emerged within these 3 cases. Coca-Cola has used the same playbook every time. In Mexico, they pledged to do better while sucking the country dry and pumping it full of soda. In El Salvador, they allegedly looked into things and found nothing wrong. To be extra safe, they said they had no control over what was happening in the sugarcane fields. Now in Colombia, they said they had no control over bottlers despite owning a fat chunk of FEMSA. This is what they do. How they do it doesn't change either. They make vague public claims, hope for the heat to die down, then whip up something like the Happy Factory campaign to restore their image. It hides the truth. The Happy Factory manufactures pain. Somehow, the same playbook always works. There are dozens of cases like these, and Coca-Cola's response has been the same: deny, pacify, misdirect, and advertise. Through these 3 cases, there's another common denominator: death. It's happened in Mexico and El Salvador. When Coca-Cola wraps itself around a community or a culture, it feeds on the resources, the people, and the infrastructure for as long as possible. All of it withers away together until there's nothing left. Every Coke you drink comes with a price, and not just the one printed on the label.
We're asking you tonight to go out and tell your neighbors not to buy Coca-Cola in Memphis.
Each Coke represents a scar on a child's legs, another 5 long trips for Gloria to get water, and another Efrain Guerrero intimidated, threatened, and traumatized. Coca-Cola is responsible for these crimes, and everyone knows it. Yet, they're not the only ones doing it. The US meat industry is playing the same game, and we at føde hold them accountable.
That's the story of this business. And I hope that the more and more and more that was yesterday will help us to see the more and still more that is tomorrow. Always tomorrow.